The show you're tuned into right now was put together by students and staff enrolled in the broadcasting courses in the radio television department at San Joaquin Delta College.
Wait a second.
Tom Argonda.
It's getting hot here.
Alex Thanks for listening and supporting College Radio, Unknown Space Radio.
Unknown Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool, Episode 5, DETOUR 3, LOOSIES IV, I think.
Yes. Yeah, yes. That's what it says.
Very nice.
Recorded from Episode 1, I Won't Remember You, a dive into the gradual decay of the mind, dementia and memory loss.
So there's something I want to talk about, and it has to do with the first episode of when we first started last season. We talked about coronavirus and how we talked about contemporary issues, about how when we look at a year and we're like, oh, this year is so much worse than last year, despite how bad the last year actually was. And we said that, and we were actually saying like coronavirus isn't that bad. It's going to go away. It's going to be like another Ebola. And now here we are 8 months later, and we spent, 6 months, if not a little less, in quarantine. We had to change the whole style of how we did our show from just being in the booth to at home. And everyone's lifestyles have changed. And that's something we didn't think about would happen. And it's crazy that this year is probably going to forever be one of the worst years until we find another worse year.
Oh, yeah. With like memory loss and stuff, it's something I really fear, but at the same time, it's something I really crave. And I feel like, I'm not saying I have dementia right now or Alzheimer's, but I already have a lot of kind of memory loss. Like sometimes my friends and family, they'll remind me of something that happened, and I have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. And it's just like a tragic part because they might talk about people that apparently was in my life at one point. Or they might talk about, a good day we had, and it doesn't register with me anymore. And it's even harsher that there's some maybe I shouldn't talk about, maybe I'll cut this part out, but there's even relatives who have passed away that I don't even remember how they look, and I have to maybe look at a picture of them on my computer for that to even register with me. And that's really it's really a haunting thing, because eventually this could happen to me on a way bigger scale.
I feel like this is a given, and this is gonna happen to anyone, but I feel like as I get older, the earliest I can remember gets pushed forward more instead of back. I think I really have to super think about it to try to remember what the earliest memory, but I keep coming back to the same memory of being a kid and getting this robotic Pikachu stuffed animal. And that's one of the earliest things I can remember. I think that if not, that is the earliest thing I can remember, because I know I wasn't in school yet, and I remember a little bit of kindergarten and stuff. And But what?
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna ask, do you have memories of when you were maybe a baby?
I don't.
I kind of do. I have this very vague memory of me being in, because our old house, I was kind of located in the room at the end of the hallway, And if the door was open, it was kind of, my crib was centered with the door, so I could see right down the hallway. And I remember standing up in my crib and like calling out for my grandpa. And yeah, that's just weird because I have the memory of being in a diaper and in a crib at that. And it's crazy that I even remember that.
See, I don't even remember that far back. Like what I said, what was my earliest memory, I would say I was probably about 4. And what's crazy is like when I think about like my past memories of as being a kid, I can't remember how old I exactly was. I usually say like, oh, I was probably like 4, right? Like for like a certain, like some things that I can remember, and then some other things I can remember I'm like 7 or 8. And that's like if when I think about when I was like a kid, like not like, I think I probably remember like middle school the most, but before that, like it's just chunks. So those chunks get put into like a group of like 7 or 8 or 4.
I think I feel that way too. Probably. 'Cause I don't know. I have like the chunk of memory I'm missing that I was talking about. It exists between 2013 and 2017. But somehow I'm able to remember stuff when, yeah, like I said, when I was a baby. Which is, I don't know, weird to me.
Now, do you think that there was maybe some... This is just like out of left field because I just thought of this with my personal like life, or not personal life, whatever. You get what I mean. But do you think that maybe there was some kind of trauma and that's why you remember that? Because the reason why I feel like I remember most of like middle school and even a little bit before that is because I feel like that's when a lot of bad things started to happen in my life. And that's why it's so vivid compared to the rest of my childhood.
Honestly, I think I might be the opposite because I can't say I have any severe trauma from my childhood or younger. So it might just, I don't know, it might have just been a youthful daydream, I guess. Or I don't know. I can't say it was because of trauma. I know that much.
How do we know those memories actually exist? How do we know that's what actually happened? Because they're just memories.
I don't know. Every now and then, there's like, we recently, whoa, I don't think that was recently at all. Shoot. There's this way that we come, like when we're visiting family and we're driving in like Ventura or whatever. I remember recently, I think my mother pointed out something like when it's Christmas time over here, up on that hill, there's usually like a Grinch, like cardboard cutout that kind of looks over the freeway that we're driving on. And I swear that was a dream that I had from like when I was really young of us driving down the freeway and seeing the Grinch on top of like this hill. Just I have like bursts of memory like that where I swear they were a dream, but apparently they happened. And that's just, I don't know, it's an amazing moment when that happens. To me at least.
Do you think deja vu is linked to memory loss?
I have weird feelings about, probably. I mean, shoot. You know, there's a lot of theories about deja vu, like, you know, it's like a link to the past life or whatever.
Not even that. I mean,
I think it's just a monotonous life. I think it's just a product of that.
Because I'll have like deja vu from like my deja vu's like linked to like my dreams for some weird reason. And I know this might be a little bit of a different discussion and you can cut this out if you want to cut this out. But like I'll remember stuff that like I had this dream and like the dream was from like a very, very long time ago. And I don't know if that's my brain misconstruing it or not, or if it's just...
No, I get that.
Recorded from episode 2, the DUCT tape episode, a dive into the tragedy of desire.
There's people that just think and have the mentality of so much worse that are out there and that we don't see. And I guess we do see them, but that's only until after something bad happens. And really there isn't any control over like stopping that before like it happens, you know?
Because it's like
Right.
a lot of these you never really know until it happens. But
Yeah,
at the same
and even
time,
then, people wait years to say things.
Yeah.
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 Which, I mean, it's not like, because that is a sensitive topic, and I see a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't have waited to say it. But it's like, I don't know, I'm not going to put that against those people. But it's going back again to talking about those high school, the people I had in high school that would always harass other people. Because the high school never ever really did anything about it. They were more concerned with what girls are wearing. They didn't care about, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, the dudes that were,
saying and doing bad things.
yeah, I don't want to say exactly specific stuff just because it's disgusting, but they got little repercussions, and while the school's attention was elsewhere, and I think that led them to continue. And it's like you could stop it so early in their tracks, but it's almost like we don't. But going back, just because you say you don't understand where that stems from, why, and your sociology class was talking about how they do it to feel power over someone, and somewhat not really going back to the call of the void, but it's like, I think it's because they can. And that's not, how do I say it? When I say they can, it's not like, permission or anything. It's because there's little to no repercussions. There hasn't been much punishment for those people. And that leads them to thinking they can. And thinking they can leads them to doing it.
Have you ever talked to someone who has that mentality that like men are just superior to women?
That was like a lot of my peers in high school.
I never really was exposed to that kind of stuff in high school, but it wasn't until, well, actually recently that I've met people like that, and just like picking their brain about what they think. It's just
were they college peers?
No. People I met from like work.
Oh. That's harsh because that's the gym you work at. This is another, I don't know, I think less dark conversation, but I don't know. I've been thinking about sexuality, and it's cool that humans have that ability to be attracted to one another. But my friends and I, we were talking one time. I don't know, because maybe sometimes we'll just talk about, like, yo, what if you had telekinesis? Whatever, stuff of that nature. And I think it was a joke at first, but I started to think about it a lot. So we started talking about the ability to detach yourself from sexuality. Like, just the ability to not be attracted to anything. Because I think some days this attraction thing is pretty distracting. I guess this is not really sexuality, but it's also just desire in general. Just the ability to detach yourself from that. I think we would be a lot more rational beings, and I think we would be pretty powerful. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I know people and I have family who have like thrown their life away. Not necessarily thrown their life away, but thrown the potential of doing something great with their lives because like
Desire.
they fell in love.
Oh.
Yeah, or they started a family or something instead. Like I know people from high school who could have gone into like these great schools and stuff, but they decided not to because they didn't want to like leave the person they were with. I don't know if this is the same thing that you're talking about, but
It's sort of just the ability to detach yourself from desire. I said sexuality at first, but it's not really even sexuality, just desire in general. I just think we'd be more powerful beings if we were able to do that. And I think we would... Go ahead.
Sorry. How often do you think like the average person just thinks about like
Sex.
love and stuff, like love and sex and all that stuff? Like
Pretty often. Wouldn't
Yeah.
Don't you think it's one of our like main motives?
I would think so, because it is, wow, what's the word I'm looking for? It's primal, I guess. It's
Yeah, and even just like you know, aside from sex and love, just desire in general is always our pushing factor. It's necessary, but it's really distracting. But I just thought at the same time, where would we be going if we didn't have desire? Because aren't we doing this out of desire? Aren't we going to college out of desire for something bigger? Aren't we doing this radio show out of desire for something bigger?
Yeah, I guess I misinterpreted what you meant by desire.
I think I misinterpreted what I meant by desire.
But, yeah, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be in school. Otherwise we would just, I don't know, be doing something else with our lives. If we didn't want something better for ourselves or
Yeah.
want something bigger.
I don't know, that's just like, what are human beings without desire?
I think we're aimless without desire, because often our desire is what pushes us. Desire is what sets goals for us. So without desire, you have no will, you have no push for anything.
It stands out on the highway like a creature from another time.
Yo, I also want to mention to the crowd, I have been running off of 3 hours of sleep for 3 days straight. And quite frankly, this is kind of cool. And it's only because my new school schedule is really not in my favor. I have a lot of work and no time to do what I want. So I kind of use the nightly hours to do the stuff I want to do. And I don't know, I want to put that out there because it's fun.
I'm telling you, man, let me help you with a lot of this stuff, because I feel so bad.
Dude, no, see,
And you're like killing yourself, and I'm like, dude, let me help you.
well, yeah, you're like asking to help with like which if you want to help with like, I don't know, this stuff, I don't mind if you want to help, but you don't need to help, because I don't mind doing this. When I'm complaining,
but I want to help, because this whole show has been, I'm just rambling and talking for about an hour, and then you have to go and deal with everything else.
dude, most of what we recorded so far has been you talking. I could not do this on my own, and that's fine. Plus, you do a lot of other stuff.
But we've talked about this. Like, you could have easily done this show with, like, any one of your friends.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I thought about that because you've said that to me before. And quite frankly, no. Because what was so special about the show is that we knew nothing about each other when we went in. And because you're not like, I don't know, I felt like you didn't have any expectations of me as a person. And that makes it more easy to tell you like, yo, I want to kill myself or something like that. Like when it's a homie that has like high expectations of me to, I don't know, I don't know, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about that too. I don't know if we ever recorded this, but you were basically saying like, there's no reason for us to like talk about the things we talk about to each other because we really didn't know each other. But I think that's what is really cool about this show is that because of all the things we've talked about and all the things that we've worked on together, like it really has made us like we're friends now. Do you remember when we were kids and we had a phone and we totally should not have had a phone?
I hear that.
And you would get those texts or those emails. I guess you wouldn't really get emails. You get more just texts than anything. But I know emails were a thing too. Obviously emails were a thing. But they came in an email form also. But it was like they would send you like a terrifying image and it was like, send this to like X amount of people. And if you don't, this person will appear in your room at night. And you remember those ones that were like, oh, send this to X amount of people, or you'll have bad luck for the rest of your life, or your crush will never love you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do remember that. And those would, honestly, I would never send them to people, but they would really scare me.
We blew them off. Do you ever think that maybe like? Do you think that maybe we should have at the time?
You
and
think
this is us paying for it now?
Every bad thing that has ever happened to us is because
we did forward text chains.
Yo,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that's why, but
it's just a funny thought
of.
Dude,
yeah.
I should have then. There was one that scared me back in the day, and I really don't know why, because it's just like it's just a picture of a little girl. Nothing's wrong with her either. It's just a little girl, a picture of a little girl. Literally nothing is wrong with the picture. I gotta emphasize this. It's just a picture of a little girl standing, doing nothing. And it's just like, this is Emily. She died. Forward this to 5 other people. That was literally it. Yeah, it still like really scared me for some reason.
There was one that I got. It had like this BlackBerry. And I think I was like 11.
A BlackBerry?
10. I had a BlackBerry. And I got one in the middle of the night, and it was a picture of like, it was like a blacked out picture.
I thought you said, like, wait, hold up. I thought you said it was a picture of a BlackBerry.
Oh, no. I had a BlackBerry.
Oh, okay. Yo, me too.
But it was like this blacked out picture of like a redheaded girl dressed in black, and she was like pale skin. And I remember like her eyes were blacked out because they were supposed to be like gouged out, and she had like blood around her eyes. And I remember that terrified me. The second I saw it, I like closed it right away and deleted it. And I was just panicking. So, piggybacking off of quarantine, I just want to talk about like this year so far, dude. Like, I feel like so much has happened this year, and what's really made me think about this was when all the fires started happening. And like, yeah, I know it's like fire season every year, in California and every summer, but like, I don't know. It seems like it's really, really bad this year, and I feel like there's so many things just happening to humanity. I feel like humanity really needs like a break. But because of like all the things humanity has done, and like our ancestors and our and just like even our family, like within the last few generations, I feel like they were given chances and breaks so much, and the universe is like, nah, dude. And it just so happens to be like when we're here and we're adults.
As a human species, we I don't want to say we deserve it, but we deserve it? I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm like licking my lips and saying like, yeah, get him, nature, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if it is like some kind of universal karma, then I understand, is what I'm saying. But no, like when you're saying the fires is what made you realize that like all this is really, really bad. I don't know, the fires is like the last thing that really made me realize like, yeah, this year is kind of past the point of redemption at that point.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it was the fires that it was like, oh, this is really bad, this is the worst thing. It was just like when the fires started happening, that's when it was like I had that idea, like that idea came in my head that like there's so many things happening, and this is just another like drop in the bucket of like bad things happening. That's what made that
interesting when you put it that way. Just another drop in the bucket, because that makes me feel so small. Like, I don't know. It's like the world's on fire, yet we're not even that important. We were never that important to begin with. So it's really just a drop in the bucket. That's harsh. And you know what's like, I don't know, kind of been, I don't want to say it's funny, because I don't want to ruin people's hopes, but it's kind of funny, annoying how people are just kind of like, oh man, 2020 is so bad, which it is, and I agree, but it's like, I don't know, all of our problems now are most definitely going to follow us into 2021. Like, I don't know, a lot of people have been treating it online as like on New Year's Day, COVID's just going to like fade away, and like everything's just going to be like, you know, good luck in 2021. We're staying here.
Well, aren't they saying that like COVID's supposed to be around until like at least 2024? Even if we get a vaccine right now?
Yeah, no, I read an article that said like, well, at this point it's basically not gonna go away because we kind of skipped out on like the necessary precautions to take
because we're stupid.
Yeah, but it's like smallpox. Smallpox never went away. It's like you could still get smallpox. It's gonna be like that. Like obviously,
or like the flu.
Yeah, later down the line, it's like we're gonna have better treatment. We're gonna make it more. How do I say like How do I say it? Curable, I guess. But it's still gonna be around, and it's gonna like pop up in pockets, but it's not gonna take over the world again. But I don't want to jinx it because if that happens, I probably wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you and I have ever had this conversation or have this. Start over. I don't know if you and I have had this conversation yet or while recorded, but I've had this conversation with a couple of people. And when the pandemic and quarantine first started, people were like, "Oh, the new normal," right? Like, are we really living in a new normal? Because other than social distancing, which a lot of people aren't doing, and other than wearing masks, which a lot of people aren't doing, a lot of people are not treating anything really different. And it's not even because of like, it's not because we're blowing it off, but it's just when I went back to work, a lot of things were still relatively the same. When I go to the grocery store, a lot of things are still relatively the same. People are a little more cautious of their spacing to an extent, but a lot of things are really the same. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if that's contributing to like COVID not going away, but things aren't really all that different like people anticipated it to be.
Yeah. I mean, when you hear people saying like this is a new normal, it sounds dramatic, but it's like it's not that deep. Like we're not moving around in like plastic bubbles or anything like that.
Yeah.
That sounds fun though.
A lot of things are just
It's just like what the new normal is just taking precautions, keeping distance.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be like that for a while.
If anything, it just seems like a lot of things are minor inconveniences.
Unknown Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool has been a production of KWDC 93.5 LPFM, Delta College Radio. This program is made possible by listeners like you. Programming is produced by the students, staff, and faculty of San Joaquin Delta College's Radio Television Department. It is supported by the Delta College Department of Arts, Humanities and Multimedia, the Career Technical Education, and Workplace Development Office, and the State of California. Thank you for listening. Tom Argonda, Alex Salon. Unknown Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool.